Hey everyone, welcome to the Immerse Investor webinar. My name is Ryan Yep. I'm the head of partnerships here at Immerse. Today, we're joined by Cliff Champion, our VP of Intelligence Systems, Josh Kurikeshu, our head of content, and Renji Bijoy, our founder and CEO. Renji, take the mic.
Awesome. Kind of skimming through the names, it seems like it's majority, a bunch of new people on here. So I'll give kind of a high level overview on who Immersed is. Let me share my screen real quick. Immersed is one of the most used AR/VR apps on the planet. Super grateful for how much progress our team has made. At a high level, what Immersed does is it connects your headset to your laptop. It spawns 5 virtual screens, and it allows you to take your headset and your laptop to your couch, your porch, airport, hotel room, pretty much on the go. And you have 5 screens with you at all times, varying resolution depending on which headset you're using. It works on the Meta Quest headsets, Apple Vision Pro, the different types of headsets that are out there. And on top of that, coders can code side by side together, multi-screen share, designers can whiteboard together. And so the goal is to build a future in which you could put on a pair of glasses and teleport to the virtual office and other sort of virtual immersive settings. Before we get deeper into that, my background, before Immersed, I guess my last job about 10 years ago, I was a lead software architect at CNN working on a product called greatpicstory.com, sort of like the TikTok of CNN. We grew that to about 3 million daily active users in the first 2 months, which was really exciting. But I decided to very quickly leave that and focus on a PhD in computer vision and machine learning from Georgia Tech. So things like self-driving cars, autonomous drones, things like that. But after about 3.5-ish years of writing papers, it just got kind of boring. And so decided to then focus on what is now Immersed. And so we went through Techstars back in 2017. I guess maybe, you know what, it might be helpful to get backgrounds from you guys as well. So maybe Ryan, then Josh, then Cliff, and then I can continue the rest of the pitch. Ryan,
Yeah, Ryan Yep. Before Immerse, I was selling enterprise software, mechanical engineering and electrical engineering software.
Hey y'all, Josh Kurikeshu, head of content here at Immersed. My main goal is just bringing awareness to all our products and managing the different social media accounts, but also working on the UX side of things in terms of our different products, be it our software product or even some elements of the hardware side.
And everyone, I'm Clifford. My academic background, primarily in mathematics, computer science, and my professional career before joining Immersed started in video games and simulation, and then later SaaS and web, and then substantial time in VR applied to education. And my role at Immerse is leading the overall design and execution of our AI strategy. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So, and this is only, these are just 8 of our, there's probably like kind of 20-ish, 25-ish people on the team, but these are kind of the some of the OGs on the team. Yeah, like I mentioned, we were founded in 2017. We've raised about $21 million to date, 17 of which had been crowdfunded. So for those of you who, I guess there's like at least a few of you on this call who are on this webinar who have been following our progress for a few years, and you've seen that we've done multiple different crowdfunds. Yeah, so 17 million of the 21 million raised was actually crowdfunded from users and followers. And so as we continue to grow as a company, really until exit at this point, it seems like whether we sell the company to another larger company or go public via an IPO someday, obviously we want to continue growing the company, want to continue adding as much fuel to the fire to keep growing the company and working on multiple different initiatives. And so, yeah, I mean, just at a high level, as far as user usage, we've acquired, these stats are a little bit outdated from a couple of months ago, but probably closer to 1.5, 1.6 million unique users to date. Probably closer to about 2 millennia spent in our app, or nearly 2,000 years of user usage. 1.4 billion views across all social media. That's part of what Josh and his team had been working on last year. And user acquisition, we just haven't really spent it. We haven't spent any money on user acquisition itself, but it's been really cool to see how just users at the end of the day will continue using the product. We'll add reviews, and you'll see that the Meta Horizon Workrooms app, which is the direct, I guess, competition to the Immersed app on the Meta Quest store, for example, Meta's app has more 1-star reviews than 5-star reviews. And obviously these are still a few months stale, but obviously you can kind of go online and see the updated stats. But as time has progressed, we've seen this kind of increase in as far as I guess the number of users who decided to land on the Immersed app versus the Meta app. We have users in most countries. It's been very exciting to see how much traction we've gotten on that. And even it was interesting. One of the partners we've been working with put it this way: Immersed power users spend more time in Immersed than they spend looking at their smartphone. I thought that was actually pretty compelling when they put it that way. But the biggest sort of bottleneck we've been noticing is, especially on the enterprise side, a lot of these customers we've been trying to, I mean, over the past probably 4 or 5 years, we've tried to really expand in the enterprise context. But as you could probably imagine, these kind of bigger, clunkier headsets just don't really make much sense in the enterprise environment. And so these headsets can weigh anywhere between a pound to 2 pounds on your head. And so in partnership with Qualcomm, we've worked on this headset called Visor. It's closer to about 6 ounces, so about 70% lighter weight than a lot of the other headsets that are out there. Has 25 million pixels, so 2 million more pixels than the Apple Vision Pro. And it's only about $1,000, depending on which kind of tier, what color combinations and stuff, versus the Apple Vision Pro, which is closer to about 3,500 to 4,000 after taxes. Meta Quest headsets are closer to kind of the lower hundreds of dollars, so like $300 to $500, depending on which version you get. But the Meta Quest headsets are typically looked at as kind of like a bigger, blockier kind of gaming toy thing, and just not really appropriate for the enterprise and sort of world. And so it doesn't have to be enterprise. It can just be anyone who's working from home, or someone who wants to like go to a coffee shop and have their multiple screens, or be on an airplane and have multiple screens. It's hard to want to wear the bigger, blockier headsets in public settings. And so having a device that's a lot more thin, sleek, professional looking, and just something that's a lot lighter weight, higher resolution is the type of device that we've been optimizing for. And so kind of in pre-approved quantities, we're getting these out in front of initial beta testers, Founders Edition customers, getting feedback, iterating on that. And coming this winter is when we'll be able to get to mass production. And so there's some kind of more partner type complexities that we're navigating through right now in regards to timing, because they also have their own projects that they're working on simultaneously that's sort of adjacent to what we're doing. So we're all kind of navigating all this and figuring out timing. But I mean, the part that I'm excited about is this is inevitable. It's something that's a really long time coming. I mean, a lot of our users and some pre-order customers have been waiting for us to release this thing for the past couple of years. And so just super excited to have the right partners in place and the timing of this. I'm really excited for, and also what it's done for the industry, right? Like I think before we decided to even get into hardware, which we tried to avoid years ago, I had actually pitched Meta and Google and others for them to build this Visor headset, because we just didn't want to go down the difficult path of building hardware. And so when talking to these tech giants, their perspective was, we've mainly kind of focused on gaming and entertainment, and we just think we're just going to double down there, regardless of what your user usage looks like. And but they mentioned that when someone else proves this out, then they would be close to follow. And so it's been really cool to kind of see Meta and Apple and others mention, hey, we're actually going to focus on something that's more professional. And so it's been cool to kind of see, and Lenovo and others as well, working on work headsets. So we're excited for what 2027 and beyond looks like for those headsets. Obviously, we're trying to get to market before all of them, probably a couple of years before they get to market. And then obviously, as time progresses, this is just the first version, right? This is just Visor 1. Obviously, behind the scenes, we're working on additional things. And so while Visor 1 is kind of running its kind of automatic process at this point now, we're obviously working on additional initiatives. Well, I kind of get into here. We've been getting a lot of questions around Curator. And so before I get to that, again, at a high level, Immersed is sort of the software application that we had been working on for the first, really focusing on for the first 5 years of the company. The most recent 2 or 3 years, we've been really heads down focused on Visor, and now that's kind of on its trajectory. But now we've been thinking about, okay, well, how do I get individuals and even myself to be a Renji ×2, not just in a private distraction-free workspace with a thin, sleek type of hardware device, but now how do I get myself to have way more output? And so, in previous years, I've really used ChatGPT a lot. I'm sure many of you on this call use ChatGPT now, and it's something that I wish just had more context, right? I wish ChatGPT just existed in my environment alongside me. I wish it was my automated executive assistant that sees everything that I see, that hears everything that I hear. Something that was 24/7 on, or perfect memory, which no human can do. And so that's what we've been building, Curator. Think about it as a ChatGPT that already exists in your environment. And so it has access to everything kind of from your first person point of view. And so if you think about the example I've given on previous calls where I mentioned, having curators say, hey, Renji, based on the past 3 weeks worth of meetings, here are the 10 tasks I got to get done before next week's meetings. You have a 30-minute slot here. Go ahead and knock this piece out. We'll show you a couple of demos in a second here. But that's what we truly believe is not only something that would optimize or increase productivity for even C-suite at companies, but also the entire enterprise. And so we truly believe Curator is sort of the next generation of whether it be a computer using agent or an AI agent or some sort of automated executive assistant, however you want to phrase it. It's really the sort of spatial computing plus AI sort of vision we've been pushing here. And so before I continue, a lot of you who have been asking questions about what is Curator, how can I get access to it, et cetera, watch this video first, and then we can keep moving from there.
Hey, Curator, look at the text on my screen and get Josh the answer to his question and send it to him in an email to josh@visor.com.
I've drafted an email to Josh with the answer to his question.
This is Curator, an AI agent we've been working on for the past year. Not the kind of agent that goes off and does tasks for you on its own, but the type of AI computer using agent that comes alongside the tasks that you're already getting done and helps you get it done faster. Hey, Curator, add another virtual screen.
A new virtual screen has been added successfully. If you need anything else, just let me know.
Hey, Curator, make my virtual screen portrait.
Your virtual screen has been set to portrait mode.
Hey, Curator, look at the email on my screen and summarize an email response because I don't feel like reading all of it.
I've summarized the email response and sent it to Josh.
We've built one of the top spatial computing apps on the MetaQuest store called Immersed that gives you multiple virtual screens. We've also built Visor, which is 4K per eye, but only 6 ounces. It's a headset that's focused on work productivity. You don't need those in order to use Curator. You could just use Curator directly on your laptop. But if you did use those, Curator can also take action in the headset. Curator can observe everything you're doing on your laptop, listen to your meetings, take notes, but you could also exclude it from things you don't want to be able to see. It could take very basic actions as well today, as we'll demonstrate, but the goal is to do much more complex actions in the future. The goal is for this to become the first versions of Iron Man's Jarvis actually running on computer to make you a lot more productive. Our vision is to build the next generation of computing that infuses spatial computing with AI. Hey, Curator, create a calendar invite for a one-on-one with Josh tomorrow morning Central Time and add josh@visor.com and put in the description the things that we need to cover.
I've created the calendar invite for your one-on-one with Josh tomorrow morning Central Time.
Awesome.
If you need anything else, just let me know.
Good job. Curator, open Spotify.
I've opened Spotify for you. Enjoy your music.
One thing that's really cool is because I don't have the Spotify app on my computer, it actually went to Spotify's online web player. I can even search Spotify. Check this out. Hey, Curator, search Spotify for Taylor Swift.
I've searched for Taylor Swift on Spotify.
Hey, Curator, search Google for flights to San Francisco tomorrow.
I've searched for flights to San Francisco for tomorrow.
Hey, Curator, open up YouTube and search for Mr. Beast's most recent video.
I've opened YouTube and searched for Mr. Beast's most recent video.
Hey, Curator, search for Michael Dell's LinkedIn profile.
I've searched for Michael Dell's LinkedIn profile.
Hey, Curator, look at the buggy code on my screen and give me the answer to how to fix it.
The issue in the code is that it attempts to divide by 0, which raises a 0 division error. To fix this, you can add a check to ensure the divisor b is not 0 before performing the division. Here's the corrected code. Python def divide numbers a, b. If b equals 0, return error.
Thank
Division
you.
by 0 is not allowed. Return a
You don't got to read it all out.
So that obviously gives you a couple of examples. Let me remove that video. Cool. Of where we're headed with Curator. Obviously, Cliff and Josh actually they've been working on a lot more. I guess maybe I'll pause there. Josh, is there more you want to share there? Can you kind of share what you guys have been working on more recently?
Yeah, sure. Just showing you some of the basics, what we've been working on with Curator. Our goal here with Curator, as Renji already mentioned, we want you to be able to be as impactful and productive as possible and shortcut things and make it feel almost like tasks are more instantaneous. And so we've created this overlay feature, which will suggest to you 3 different actions based on context of your screen. And so, as you can see here, there is schedule follow-up meeting with Alberto, draft meeting summary email, and research meta notifications API. And so these are 3 things that, based off of the work that was going on my screen, it is presenting me these 3 options dynamically. And as context changes on my screen, these suggestions or actions, they change to match the context. And so ideally, you almost want to make it feel like Curator can read your mind in a sense. And so I'll give you 2 video examples of this.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get Curator to do the exact examples he wants. It's just easier to pre-record and play it.
So here, Mitu talking to Ryan about a certain Jira issue, and that this is something of high priority. And Mitu, being the user here, is seeing that Cure 126 is actually an issue. Curator then dynamically shows an action to open that specific Jira issue. After clicking on it, Curator then opens up that issue on Jira. And so this just kind of goes to show you an example of skipping a bunch of steps. First of all, Mitu would have had to go to her browser, open up Jira, and then go to the Curator project and then find this particular issue by searching it. But with essentially just giving you that action right off the bat, it just skips all of those steps and it makes it more instantaneous for her. So that's just one example. I'm going to share another one.
By the way, as he pulls that up, another really cool example we've seen is we have like a weekly department heads meeting at our company on Mondays. And right before, because it actually Curator is plugged into and can read my Google Calendar, it can notify me saying, hey, Renji, by the way, there's actually a Google Doc update link in the calendar invite. The meeting's in 5 minutes. Click here to add your update. And then also I can just tell Curator, so I'll click it, open it, and then I can have Curator enter in what I've been working on for the past week. So I don't even have to do that part. So it really sort of just automates a lot of the busy work that I otherwise would have to spend time on. Go ahead, Josh.
Yep. And so in this particular circumstance, Mitu and Clifford are having a conversation about a particular issue. And so Clifford just needed help on identifying a certain bug. He wanted to go do a deeper dive on that particular issue. And so here, Curator was basically dynamically change the action to show that Mitu could just go right in and schedule a meeting with Clifford about that particular issue. And so based off of that context, when she clicks schedule a meeting with Clifford, it then brings up the calendar invite and includes the context of the conversation in the meeting invite. And so again, just skipping a lot of the different steps, wanting to get to the point where it really feels like Curator is reading your mind and presenting these actions very intuitively.
Just another example is like in the department heads meeting that we have, I'm not the most technical person on the team. And so Curator is able to prompt me with the suggestion of helping me understand what some technical terms mean that our engineering team will bring up. And so that's been incredibly helpful. And you could probably imagine that's helpful in any meeting that you're part of.
Yeah, and one thing just also to add, it's not just some of those particular actions. You can also straight up prompt anything. So there's an Ask Curator button essentially at the very top that you probably noticed. So when you ask Curator, essentially you could prompt anything that you want as you would if Curator was fully open. But then also if you just want to quickly ask Curator and not want to prompt anything, it can understand the context of your screen and then provide you with some additional context. Let's just say you're discussing a particular issue and you want to fully understand the whole context of that issue from when it started to the action plans to resolve it. Curator would essentially summarize all of that and then show you the entire summary and that full context so you can get the bigger picture.
Yeah, so and kind of last thing before I'll let Cliff add as well. Just keep in mind that like as we continue to grow the company, we have kind of these 3 different arms. Like Joe and his team are really focused on the immersed application. That will, I saw one of the questions, people are asking, will Immersed still support other headsets? Well, of course. Like that's also just from a strategy standpoint, that's lead generation for us. A lot of people find out about Immersed because Meta keeps pushing our app on their store and Apple on theirs, and et cetera. So Joe and his team are focused on that. On the Visor side, Romeo and his team are really focused on that, and so we'll just keep iterating. Yes, we have some stuff we have to navigate through with some of these tech partners and some of the stuff that they're working on. But again, Visor is still, honestly, I think it's going to be one of our biggest moats that we have as a company. And so, because this is the easiest device for me to be able to put on, whereas these other headsets just very cumbersome. Actually, you know what? I totally forgot. Even just, was it yesterday or today? It was yesterday. Road to VR posted this article, which I thought was actually pretty mind-blowing. I guess a lot of developers I saw on Twitter were getting pretty upset that Meta didn't announce this before. You guys are able to see my screen, right? It says Meta admits there's a Goldilocks zone for VR session length due to form factor concerns. This literally just came out yesterday. And kind of, TLDR or the summary is Meta headsets are just optimized for 20 to 40 minutes of gameplay. That's it. Like that already shows that, and a lot of developers were upset on Twitter because they were, feel free to go to roadtovr.com. It's one of the top articles that's going pretty nuts on there right now. If you saw all over Twitter as well, a ton of developers were just upset because Meta had never said that before. This is the first time they're coming out saying, hey, by the way, our big bulky headsets, you really should only be using it for 20 to 40 hours a week. 20 to 40 minutes a day or per session. Whereas for Visor, this is something that we actually are able to use 40, 50, 60 hours a week every week. And so this is what we believe is going to be one of our biggest moats. And we are also aware that just because we're coming out with the Visor this year, it's not something that is going to be future proof, right? We have to continue iterating and making it better and then get ahead on Visor 2 as soon as possible. So we're going to continue fundraising. We're going to keep growing the company as much as possible because, just candidly, Qualcomm and others are saying, hey, by the way, realize even Apple and Meta could buy a Visor and then reverse engineer it and they come out with their own version, or they are already working on other versions. And so get ready for Visor 2, et cetera. So, and by the way, this is something we've been working on for the past 2.5, 3 years, maybe whatever we started. And so this is all stuff that's in the making. And then simultaneously, kind of this third arm, the Curator side of the company, that Cliff is kind of spearheading as well. These sort of 3 different arms of the company will continue to grow. And what we're really excited about is how they all sort of synergistically plug in together, right? The Immersed app is even better on the Visor headset. The Visor headset's even better than Curator. Not one of those things are stopping the other. I saw some comments on Discord as well asking, is Curator blocking Visor mass production? No, mass production is a physical thing. And so we have to wait for a lot of our partners to be ready for that too, depending on their timing with their stuff. And so, and then Curator itself, well, fortunately for us, you don't have to have a Visor to use it. Josh demonstrated pretty much everything just on a desktop. And that in and of itself is already starting to become extremely helpful for us. And so when you kind of bring all these 3 things together, it's so mind blowing how powerful this sort of productivity suite is. And we're just excited about how the stuff that we're building is not merely AI agents that replace you and your job, but rather AI that empowers you to do your job even better. Maybe Cliff, you want to add some additional thoughts on kind of the vision of where we're headed for Curator?
Yeah, and I'll add some color to the current strategy. LLMs, ChatGPT, et cetera, clearly highly effective substitutes for classic search, right? I think Stack Overflow, Google, classic search, less and less people are using that. But for personal help that's personalized to you, the bottleneck is context. And we see a lot of individual apps already adding AI into their apps, but they're siloed, right? And when I think of Curator, I think one of the great advantages is that we look over those silos. We look across those silos. Whatever apps that you have Curator enabled on your desktop for Curator to analyze and understand how you're working, that all comes together to be your perfect personal assistant. So I think we've chosen an interesting position in the operating system stack to be able to do that highly effectively. And it's a fundamental advantage that we have over the many apps, dozens, if not hundreds of apps that you use that are quote unquote being AI enabled. So that's one interesting advantage that we have right now. And then on the future, Renji will talk about some of our robotics, or I'll talk about it as well. But what we're doing with Curator also sets the stage for what you might call semantic intelligence that will complement our spatial intelligence advantages. So we'll talk about that more in the next section. Back to you.
Earlier this year, Jensen Huang had a keynote. It's funny. I saw some tweets saying Jensen Huang is just literally telling us where the future is going, and let's just like build what's on that roadmap. So you've seen a lot of generative AI stuff, generating images, et cetera, videos. Then you've seen a lot of agentic AI. Curator is a version of agentic AI. And the next step after that is physical AI, right? So how do we bring AI into the physical world? And namely, Tesla's implementation of this is Optimus, right? Or even if you think about a Tesla car that's able to I guess self-sufficiently, autonomously drive through the roads, AKA full self-driving, they are able to deploy AI into the real world, and physical AI will be able to have sort of a positive feedback loop of intelligence because it's able to go do something, test it, and then have actual information, as opposed to just AI that's trapped on your phone that can't do anything out in the real world. And so Tesla's working on Optimus, Figure's working on their robots. There's quite literally hundreds of companies out here working on this. There's actually, I don't have this handy. I could Google this. Let me see if I pull this up real quick. Unitree R1. They just announced a new robot that actually costs about $5,900. Let me share this tab instead. Shift over. Very cool. This is literally a full kind of has all the degrees of freedom that most humanoid robots have. It's a full body humanoid robot that costs $5,900. It's the cheapest on the market. The previous iteration was about $16,000, and they've shown we can now get it down to sub 10 grand. Obviously, this one doesn't have actual dexterous hands, but it has the rest of sort of the degrees of freedom that the rest of the body would need. And so Unitree is a China-based company. We talked with multiple different companies. We've been talking with Unitree and others who are working on humanoids and are trying to figure out, well, how do we sort of add intelligence? Obviously, these are all pre-programmed movements that you're seeing here on the screen now. Tesla has created sort of a head-mounted gear thing, if you can kind of see here in the bottom left picture. The way in which you actually train these robots on how to move is actually you give them human pose estimation data at scale. So how do humans move in physical environments? But you give them the sort of 75 joint point, or 21 per hand joint point, depending on your low fidelity. You give that type of data over the course of time at scale, and it kind of teaches robots on how to actually like navigate and move sort of through the physical world. And so Tesla has 5,000 5,000 hired people who are teleoperators to actually wear these head-mounted devices. This is an old device, by the way. They no longer use that. They actually use MetaQuest Pros and other headsets now. We've been talking with a bunch of companies who also want to do this using Visor as well. And so what it does is it actually enables you to be able to do things like teleoperate robotics, right? So things like physical labor jobs, things like imagine being able to work from home as a chef at 5 different Chipotles because you are just teleoperating these robots remotely, or even construction where it's hot outside, or this is a telecom example, for example, or a custodian who doesn't want to get, I guess, sick from touching a lot of infected bacterial type stuff. Is something where you can actually go do monotonous, dangerous, or tiring jobs remotely from home for the first time ever. And so Immersed has historically focused on knowledge workers, people who ultimately really just use a laptop for work. But longer term, we obviously want to focus on what does it look like for people to use VR headsets, especially namely Visor, for remote operation of robotics, to be able to do sort of what we call remote physical labor jobs as well for the first time in human history. Maybe Cliff, you want to add some additional color to that as well?
Yeah. I think the interesting jumping off point is from headset users, from Visor users. There's immense data potential. There's fundamentals that robots need to learn in order to be autonomous, whether fully autonomous or semi-autonomous or assisted. And we have the perfect advantage from the data that's available from Visor, starting with teleoperation and eventually just assisting how you get work done from your home, from your office, in ways that leverage the advantages of Curator that we're establishing today, which begin to build links at a semantic level, combined with the spatial knowledge and spatial data necessary that we get from the VR users. And really the two combine to help realize, ultimately everyone's chasing AGI, right? But these are two very critical components ultimately to achieve a form of AGI. Yeah, we have all the right elements here laid out in front of us.
Awesome. Yep. Thanks for sharing. Okay, so I know we're running low on time, so I'm going to move quickly. We have to give some kind of high level understanding for those who need to better understand what sort of the fundraising sort of trajectory and sort of long term here. If you go to invest.immersed.com, probably where you found this webinar, it actually shows the perks. So if you're an existing investor, obviously you get a 16% discount from the current valuation that we're raising at. And then if you get in before July 30th, tomorrow night, you get an 8% discount. And then obviously the valuation goes up the following day. We are also raising or filing for something called Reg A Plus later this fall that allows us to continue raising. Because candidly, again, like I mentioned earlier, Qualcomm and some of our partners mentioned, hey, look, if you guys don't actively pursue or respond to any of these acquisition inquiries and really want to go public, you're going to have to raise hundreds of millions of dollars. And so, like, just being very straightforward, hardware is expensive. It's something that if you want to work on Visor 2, one of the questions in the Q&A I skimmed through was asking, are you ever going to work on glasses? Yes, Lord willing that we continue to be successful. We would love to be able to work on glasses when the manufacturing side of things makes sense for that. As of right now, I personally don't believe that the technology that's available today is good as far as field of view. And so, right now you get like for a third of the field of view that you would for Visor versus glasses. And so we're just going to wait for Meta and Apple and others to keep pouring their dozens of billions into R&D for that. But point being, if we ever even want to see that that year or that day, we're going to need the funds to be able to work on that type of research and development ourselves as well to develop, immersed glasses someday or whatever we want to call it. And so, anyways, that's sort of the data points around the timing for the current round. Again, the round will stay open past tomorrow night. But if you want the valuation discount, that would have to be before tomorrow night. Most of you already know this, but obviously every investment is risky when you invest, right? Because we are an early stage startup. We're obviously thankful that we're still here 8 years later, and we believe that we have the right type of team to execute on this because the stuff that Meta is working on Meta's competing with us on is not really a money problem. It's more of a focus problem. So they're going to focus on a lot of things. We're going to focus on this one particular problem that we're currently doing really well in. And so just know that when you invest in this, the goal is not for you to be able to flip your money in like a year, right? Like this is where we do want to go public in the coming years, but we do see this as, Lord willing, someday the next tech giant, right? If the tech giants for the past several decades have been, building the personal computer and then the laptop and then the smartphone and then now pouring dozens of billions of dollars into the next generation of computing, namely spatial computing or glasses, well, they're not pouring dozens of billions because they think this is like a $1 billion exit. They believe that this is going to be the next $1 trillion type of opportunity. And so for us, we also believe the same thing. And so we do want to be that tech giant, Lord willing, someday. And so we're going to keep fundraising, keep growing, keep releasing products. And at the end of the day, like we're building products for ourselves. Everyone here on the call uses our own products. And as we continue to grow our company, we're only wanting to build products that we want. And so, we're super thankful for those who've already been here for along for the ride. I think that might be a good place to stop. I guess any final thoughts, Ryan, Josh, or Cliff?
If everyone, if you didn't get your question answered, feel free to reach out to us, invest@immersed.com, and be happy to answer those.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.
Have a
Bye.
good one. Bye-bye.